this one definitely gets filed under the I just think it's neat category. This is something I found recently and was lucky enough to get in the box. And yeah, it's the Radeon HD 4350, but the AGP version. Now, normally this wouldn't be interesting or exciting except for one quirk. So looking at the card, especially when viewed from the front, you really wouldn't think there's anything special about it. In fact, you probably wouldn't be able to pick it out from any other card. But anyone that's been collecting, especially the later AGP cards, may notice something absent on this one. If you look all over this card, you're not going to see any power connectors. Now, why is that significant? I mean, that seems like a sort of a mundane detail. But this is not a native AGP card. It uses ATI's Rialto bridge chip, and any other AGP card using this bridge chip, no matter how low end, is equipped with an additional auxiliary power connector. For some reason, HIS made one that doesn't. So you can just plug this into an AGP slot and away you go. Even something as low end as a Radeon HD 2400 Pro still needs it, and even the predecessor to this one, the 3450, all the ones I've seen still need external power. I mean, it is using a different chip. This one is based on the RV710 compared to the 3550, or 3450 rather, and it's built on the same 55 nanometer manufacturing process, and this has more transistors. For some reason, none of the 3450s come without the power plug. So I don't know, is that really enough to feature this card in a video just based on that alone? Probably not. But I figured, let's just spend an afternoon, talking about this card and, putting it in a test system and running it through its paces in a couple of games that are both contemporary to it and maybe some games that came out a little bit later. A lot of times the performance of these low-end cards can be pretty surprising, at least compared to older flagship cards from just a few years prior. Now, this one looks to have been made in 2009, according to that date code there. So, this is a very, very late AGP card. And HIS actually did equip it with some pretty decent memory. For starters, it has GDDR3 memory running at 1300 megatransfers per second, which is very decent. HIS, in my experience, even their low-end cards, I tend to equip them with pretty decent memory. And it runs at a core clock of 600 megahertz. It has 80 stream processors, unified shaders, which support DirectX 10.1. It has 8 TMUs and 4 ROPs, so firmly in the low-end category. But even with those modest specs, compared to a flagship, say, of the GeForce 6 series or definitely anything older than that, this actually punches above its weight. I think we'll see in some of the tests or some of the games that we're going to run. I'm not really going to do any benchmarking today. This is just going to be a casual afternoon of playing some games and seeing what this can do in a test system. All right, got my open test bed set up here. Just a kind of a quick and dirty setup with an ASRock 775 i65G revision 3. This is using a Pentium E5800, just running out the stock, 3.2 gigahertz, 2 gigs of PC3200 RAM. And we're just going to run it here in a bunch of games and see how it goes. And I think I'm going to add a little extra fan. There we go. So it's going to be a little bit noisy, but hopefully not too much of it is picked up on the microphone. But yeah, that chip underneath gets very hot and we don't want to cook it. It does get a little airflow from the radial fan cooling the CPU. It just does kind of blows through a little bit, but I don't think it's quite enough the last time I tried this card. So we'll go ahead, get the drivers installed and see how it does. All right, drivers installed without a hitch, and we're just going to do this the old school way of just filming the monitor. I may stick in a couple pieces of footage of direct feed capture here and there if I feel like it. But yeah, we got a bunch of games and such installed here, so we're going to see what works and see what the most advanced game that's playable on an HD 4350 is. And I gotta say, the noise from that tiny little fan on the card itself is probably the most obnoxious noise of any of the fans running right now. So that's unfortunate. Again, I hope not too much of that is picked up on the microphone. The mic sits pretty close to my mouth, so it shouldn't get too much background, but I'll find out when I start editing. Anyway, what should we try first? Well, I've already done a few benchmarks on this card already. So if I go into my images here and we just look at a few of these, and we're going to zoom in. So in 3D Mark 03, it scored 9,807, which is very respectable. There we go. I just turned down the brightness a bit on the camera, but that score is very similar to a GeForce 6600 GT as just sort of an older example. But in 3D Mark 05, we get a little over 7,000, which is actually better than the scores I got for a 6800 Ultra. 3D Mark 06, 3285 overall, scoring again very similarly to a 6800 Ultra. So the shading performance of this card is actually quite good. And I think what we'll see as well when we get into some more shader intensive games, the unified shader architecture has some strengths in those areas. Let's load up something here. And we got Half-Life 2 Lost Coast, which is a playable tech demo of sorts. And we see here, it looks like everything kind of defaulted to high settings. So that's good. Let's switch this to reflect all. And let's just run it like that and see what kind of frame rate we get. All right, the test completed, scoring an average of 123 FPS, which is, I think, pretty good. But I mean, this test is like 2005. It's not the most intensive test that we're going to run today. I think next we should check out F.E.A.R, if it'll let me. Okay, so I forgot the GOG version has a DirectX wrapper. So I believe if I just delete these two files here, both called DX wrapper. Now what does it do? Crap. One more. The Direct 3D 9 DLL. Get rid of that. Now what does it do? Ah, there we go. So you just got to delete those three files and should start up. No, it ain't. All right, so it did its own self-assessment of what the settings should be. Auto-detected high for the GPU. Let's look at advanced. Volumetric light density was set to medium. Let's just max that out. Nisotropic, I'm going to turn that off for now. Just set it to trilinear. We definitely want to leave soft shadows off. That just kills performance. Let's just run the test and see what kind of score we get. Well, I think that was pretty good. I was at 1024 by 768, and you could possibly even go higher if you weren't too picky about the frame rate, but that's averaging pretty close to 60 there. So this card is pretty comfortable, I would say, with 2005 era games. But let's turn up the difficulty a notch or two. All right, let's jump into Elder Scrolls Oblivion and see how that does. Now, it defaulted to some pretty low settings. I'm not going to go that easy on it, but we are going to keep the resolution conservative. Turn off VSync because we want to see the frame rate, and we will turn on HDR. Set everything to, do we go for ultra high? Let's start with ultra high and just see, let's see what that does. Well, the nice thing is I didn't have to delete any files. This is another one. Actually, most of the games that I'm testing today are going to be from GOG, but I didn't have to delete any files or modify anything to at least start it. So let's jump in, I guess. I don't really care about any of that. Guess I gotta put in a name. Benchius. Sounds good. Well, I mean, in the dungeon, we're doing fine. I would expect that.
Let me see your face. You are the one from my dream.
I was getting down to the 30s in this more open area, so I imagine when we get outside, it may struggle a bit. Alright, got a sword. I don't care about any of that stuff. I'm just looking to get outside as quickly as possible. I probably should have ported over an old save, but we'll get there eventually. Yeah, this volumetric sort of cloud here is dragging down the frame rate quite a bit. You know, I always forget how long the tutorial cave section is. Finally. And here we are in the game proper. And wow. The stuttering is insane. Man. It's an engine problem, though, I think. What I will say, though, is that aside from the crazy hitching, the frame rate is not bad. What I would say is that when I used to play this game on a 6800 GS, even like heavily overclocked, this was about that level of performance and maybe even a little better in places. It's pretty good. I think we can even turn up the foliage a little more. Let me take a look at that and see if we turn all these sliders up. Yeah, even turning up the sliders all the way really didn't change the frame rate that much. But man, that stuttering is just, holy crap, that can't be normal. I mean, I knew it used to hitch once in a while, but this is rough. It definitely wasn't doing this indoors. Getting down to the 20s here. Oh man, that is like that is unplayable. Is that really the fault of the card though? I'm not sure. This game really is pretty infamous for its hitching, but this is a little more than I remember. This is kind of what I wanted to see though. Let's see, let's go over here and kill a crab. Yeah, I mean, would you play it like this? Probably not. I don't know. This is, it's not even like, okay, well, after I've been in the area for a while, you know, you'd think it would load everything and be a little steadier from that point. But no, it just seems to be constantly doing this. This is really bad. Wow. I don't know. The jury's still out on if that is a playable experience or not. Maybe if you cut back settings a little bit, but I'm not really sure if that's the issue. Turning up the settings didn't seem to change the frame rate or much of anything. So anyway, now I want to check out another game moving 1 year forward to Bioshock. All right, let's see if we can start the game now and see how it runs. Well, right from the get-go, the frame rate's not the greatest. Oh boy, yeah. 14. Might have to turn some settings down here. Let's just set everything to medium, see how that goes. Well, close to 20. That might have to do for now. I will say this is a higher resolution than I would attempt to play on, say, a 6800 Ultra. I remember back when I tried this game out on that card, I would run an 800 by 600. But I was able to max out the settings at that resolution, so I was doing a bit better in that regard. You know what? Yeah, let's try that. 800 by 600 high settings. Yeah, honestly, that's a better frame rate than it was doing at medium. And honestly, I think the image quality is better just because you have more of the effects going. This is reflective, and the lighting quality is better. Classic.
I chose something different. I chose the impossible. I chose rapture.
Still one of the best intros in video game history, I think. Yeah, so I mean, 800 by 600, you can see quite a bit of pixelation going on. It's not a lot of pixels, but the frame rate is all right, especially for just this intro section. I'm gonna at least play until I'm out of the bathysphere. All right, so now that we're in a more open environment, you know, I think it's just barely on the cusp of playable. Yeah, I mean, it's doing it. Well, time to stick random needles into my arm. All right, let's see how it does with this tunnel. Down to the 20s. Yeah, if you weren't too picky, you could play this game at this resolution and frame rate, but I mean, you know. Anyway, I mean, what do you want from a budget card from the early 2000s? Anyway, I would say that went pretty well. Didn't really exceed expectations all that much, but it was basically playable, I think. But there is one game I was suggested that should run well that's actually a lot newer. So let's check that out next. And that game is Portal 2. I haven't played this since the game came out, basically. So this is kind of a trip down memory lane for me. Let's turn off some of these settings, and we'll leave the rest of this at default here. And let's just see how this goes.
Must be revived periodically for a mandatory physical and mental wellness exercise.
Yeah, well, you need to definitely come down on the resolution here. I had it kind of maxed out there, but let's see what it does here. I'm kind of suspicious that VSync might be turned on. Yes, I overlooked that. There we go.
Okay, look, I wasn't going to mention this to you, but I'm in pretty hot water here. Okay, listen, we should get our story straight, all right? If anyone asks, and no one's going to ask, don't worry, but if anyone asks, tell them as far as you know, the last time you checked, everyone looked pretty much alive. Well, there we go.
Wow, so this is
Hello, and again, welcome to the aperture.
yeah, I mean, I probably want to lower the resolution a little bit here. Just do that. Why does it say that's native? Anyway, yeah, that's looking a bit better. The frame rate was very cinematic for that opening sequence. However, honestly, not bad for a game this new. It kind of makes me want to replay it again. It's been such a long time. Probably forgot all the puzzle solutions anyway at this point, so it would be like a new experience. Anyway, I think we can go ahead and take a look at the next one. The last game I wanted to try was the original Test Drive Unlimited. And I thought I got a patched version, but this one still wants to connect online to obviously servers that don't exist. I mean, this test platform isn't online anyway, and it won't let me get past this point. And some of the old patches I saw online, downloads aren't available anymore, so I'm just going to skip this one. This was a suggestion by a user on the Pixel Talk Discord server. But, you know, honestly, not bad. I kind of figured it would be pretty close to a 6800 Ultra just based on some of the 3D Mark scores that I got. With the only caveat being, this is a really whiny fan and doesn't seem to spin down at all. It just stays at a constant high pitch, which is a little bit irritating, especially in an open test bed like this. Maybe inside of a case, you know, under the desk or something, it wouldn't be so bothersome. But it is cool that it works, again, without any external power or anything. It's just a very late AGP card with a bridge chip that just so happens to play a lot of newer games at lower settings and do pretty remarkably well. I think if I'd gotten further in Portal 2, that would have been a pretty decent experience, all things considered. But that's, anyway, basically all I wanted to show you today for this Fragment video. And, just something that I wanted to share because I thought it's kind of cool. And it might be that there's no one else that would find it that interesting, but just in case there is, there you go. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me, and have a good one. And until next time, take care.